Hey guys, Reaper back from the grave, and this is my ultimate Shadow Army guide. Building Egress up as main shadow is something you'll never regret. The closer you get to endgame, the more prevalent crit resistance will become in the higher level enemies. It's a hidden mechanic that only grows with a difference in level. The way to combat this is overcapping your crit rate or overcrit. The general consensus was 8k crit, but as content gets increasingly more difficult, you'll need a bit more. I personally recommend 10k crit rate, but because of sharp perception, JIN-WOO can skate by with a tad bit less. Regarding authority, I'll be using general rank. Egress's authority gives 8% crit rate. He has 2 skills that incite bleed damage, taking 6% of an enemy's HP through 30-second duration. While it does more damage the more HP the enemy has, it's null and void in FabvL. He doubles his own attack for 10 seconds and can paralyze the enemy for 1. Egress's weapon is one of my favorites. Every shadow gets a boost in attack and precision. His weapon buffs his crit rate and damage to a max of 15%. Notice how I'm talking about him the most. Every shadow has their own strengths, but if there was a best, he'd be pretty close. Okay, I know I just glazed the hell out of Egress, but believe it or not, Bear is actually my favorite shadow. I'm reading Solo Leveling Ragnarok. He's lost his power, but not his comedy. Bro's so unserious. He'll heal 10% of each team member's max HP, and because he ate Min Byung-gu, he'll increase the target's damage taken by 5% for 20 seconds. At max, his weapon increases the ceiling given by 90%, and increases his defense penetration by 15%. His authority buffs team attack and crit damage by 5%, kind of power creeping blades and Serbian one go. I recommend it if the enemy is about equal to you in power and level, with moderate or lower defense. And even more so if you're in the blue, you're already getting extra crit rate and precision, so it's 2 more important stats getting an increase there. Iron was the first support shadow, decreasing an enemy's defense by 12% for 10 seconds and granting a shield equal to 10% of his HP to all shadows. He decreases damage taken by shadows by 30% and gives them super armor. He also increases their skill damage by 10%. These armament effects all last for 10 seconds. Note that this defense decrease doesn't stack with the other one, it's more of a refresh. At max, his weapon buffs his HP by 24% and shield acquisition chance by 36%, making him tankier. His authority buffs the team's max HP by 12%. I can only recommend this if you're using a whole team or at least a main DPS that scales off HP, but even then, there's better options. Tank's a cutie, but it doesn't make up for what he lacks in. He could stun the target for 1 second and increases your shadow's defense by 40% for 10. At max, his weapon increases his defense penetration by 15% and his damage to normal monsters by 50%. You shouldn't waste your shadows on normal monsters, so that makes this one a lower priority. His authority ups team defense by 12%. In the same vein as Iron, I can only recommend it if you have a team, or at least a main DPS scaling off of defense, but there are still better options. Blades, our first game original shadow. Like Icarus, he also doubles his own attack and increase his crit rate by 50%, both for 10 seconds, and can stun the target for 1. His weapon increases his attack and defense pen up to 15%. His authority only increases attack and by 7%, making it obsolete to Berus. Ice Witch Bestie. My bestie and the new girl on the block. She'll increase team def pen by 10% for 20 seconds, and she can freeze the target for 2. Her weapon increases her attack up to 24%, and her skill damage by 15%, making her very strong. Her authority increases team def pen by 8%. Coupling this with her skill equals an extra 18%. This sort of ties her with Egress's best shadow in endgame content, especially FabvL. Big Rock doesn't have a ton going for him, he's more of a general team damage shadow. And when I say that, I literally just mean power of destruction. You can't use shadows in Guild Boss. His weapon actually used to be bugged, but it's been long since fixed. It works like Bloodlust, but not. When he's hit, enemy attack is reduced by 15% and their defense goes down by 5%, both for 15 seconds. His authority increases team basic skill damage by 12%. It's nice for POD, but for the other content it's better to increase something like crit rate, or death pen, or at least your most prevalent scaling stat. Your skill damage will still thank you. Serby's really good because of his combustion effect. Once applied, it'll last the entire fight. Like Beru's punishment effect, it increases enemy damage taken by 5%, but it deals damage equal to 50% of his attack every 3 seconds. Because it's reliant on his own attack and not enemy HP, it'll still work in WOBL unlike Bleed. When combustion is applied, his skill damage boosts 50% by 10 seconds. His authority boosts team crit damage by 8%. Not a bad option, but same thing as Blade's, Beru's authority trumps his. Tusk is a shadow that's still pretty good. He buffs the attack of all shadows by 20% for 10 seconds. He has a skill similar to combustion, dealing 300% damage equal to his attack over 10 seconds. His weapon's a lower priority. While he'll deal 50% more damage to enemies, they have to have 50% or less HP. His authority buffs core attack damage by 40%. If you're using a dedicated core attacker like you or Hydrocha, it's fine, but similar to Big Rock, it's better to up your stats as a whole than a singular damage source. Finally, we have Kaisel. He has higher multipliers than the other shadows. He can double his attack for 10 seconds and paralyze a target for 2 in one go. He can boost your speed by 10% for 20. It's cold, but doesn't help as much as you'd think. His weapon boosts his crit damage by 24% and his damage to bosses by 30%. His authority buffs team ultimate damage by 90%. You're only using this for 2 reasons. To try to flex JIN-WOO's ultimate, or you're using Kanae. But as with other shadows, there are better options than these. Optimal shadow formation sort of shifted. It used to be Beru, Serby, Iron to increase enemy damage taken by 10% and reduce their defense by 12%. We've since shifted into a crit death pen meta. In my opinion, the best team consists of Igris, Bestie, and Beru. The main shadow will shift depending on what you're doing, but generally harder content, Igris or Bestie, and Beru for moderate difficulty. The go-to places to get shadow-related materials are your gates, that I coincidentally still haven't done yet, reverse normal and reverse hard mode, Battlefield of Time challenges, Battlefield of Time exchange, Power of Destruction, but you gotta be in the top 10 to score the Abyssal Crystals. Also, the Mining Crystal shop, but that's really just for shadow skill scrolls. Pro tip, do all your upgrades evenly. You get the same passive TP whether it's even or not, but spreading it out saves your materials. Lastly, I want to talk about the shadow-based blessings. Monarch's Domain boosts your shadow's attack by 100%, and 400% of JIN-WOO's attack every second is done within the domain for 8 seconds. Mana-powered shield is a bit newer. As long as you have enough MP to support it, it's essentially another daily quest completion with a 10-second cooldown. You're not supposed to take fatal blows anyway, so consider it a safety blanket. I wouldn't use it with Obsidian, but I would use it with Chaotic Infamy. Alright guys, I'll see you later.
Come forth, my shadows.
Don't stop scratching your nail through the coffin.